Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Today we have a brand new set of great stories for you to enjoy. Subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Sit comfortably. Here we go. May I see your ID? I work as a cashier at a commissary, a military grocery store. The way we handle proof of membership is by scanning the customer's ID card at the cash register. We have the ability to bypass this for workers who aren't in the military, but only for items that will be consumed on site. Now that the background is out of the way, on to the story. One slow day, I decided to go on my scheduled break a few minutes late as we had most of our cashiers out on break already. As soon as we had enough back that my coworkers wouldn't be unduly burdened by my absence, I close up and turn in my till. Apparently, the cash office disliked this as she started to mutter about us taking breaks whenever we liked. Now, I'd like to point out that not only did we have 6 cashiers just come back from break, we only had 3 customers in the past hour. Additionally, if we didn't handle breaks ourselves, we would have to leave work early or accrue overtime, and Lord help you if you got so much as a minute of OT. Now, being the nice guy I am, I ask if she wants me to open back up. She then spends the next 5 minutes ranting about how we just come to work to take breaks and we don't follow directions. Finally, she takes my till and I go on my break. But she's really made me mad due to some accusations of lying during her rant. Still, there isn't much I can do. Or so I thought. Come the end of my shift, who should I see but that same cash office teller with a cart full of groceries in my line? I wait for her to unload all of her groceries before I ask for her ID. She says she left it in her car and I should just bypass it. Since I'd been ranted at about my work ethic, I stand firm. I never would have expected what happened next, but the memory still warms my shriveled heart. She starts going through the 5 stages of grief. I've chosen a few lines from each stage, but they lasted an average of 4 minutes each. First stage is denial. Oh, you don't really need my ID, do you? Stop playing. Second stage, anger. My husband served in the military. Of course I have my ID. Who do you think I am? Third stage is bargaining. Please, I know you do this for other workers. Just do it this once. The fourth stage is depression. Do I really have to walk all the way to my car to get my ID? And finally, after 20 minutes of alternatively ignoring her and citing policy, she reaches the last stage, acceptance, and begins loading her groceries back in her cart. Supervisor makes me pull 1,500+ pound main power wire by myself. You break your shoulder and lose your job. Abbreviations and fake names. Me is me, obviously. Jesse is self-righteous supervisor. Hector is friendly coworker. Some context. I work as an electrician. I'd done so for over a year before leaving the state for a few months to sort out some family things. Once I returned home, I got my old job back. By the time I'd returned to the company, they'd grown quite a bit, lots of new faces and lots of new a-holes to avoid. So the first day came and I arrived on time. Also note, I spoke to the owner of the company, good friend, and asked him what I should bring for the day's work. No reply. My own fault, I came unprepared and underdressed because I wasn't given a uniform yet. But anyway. As I pull up to the job, I realize I'm the first one there. So I wait in my car listening to some music while eating my breakfast. Now the jobs normally start at 7 a.m. sharp. 8 o'clock finally rolls around and I see someone with the company attire. I go up to him and introduce myself. Me. Hey, my name. I'll be starting work with you guys today. Nice to meet you. Hector. Hey, yeah, we were told you were coming. Do you have any tools with you? Me. A few hand tools. I wasn't given a tool list by the boss. I tried to ask, but got no reply. My bad. Hey, no problem. You know how to wire up fluorescent lights? Sure do. Perfect. Let's get you started on that. So I was going about my business, wiring up all the fluorescent lights that have been put up, minding my own, headphones in, nose to the grindstone, enter Jesse. So there I am doing my job, and quite efficiently, I might add, when Jesse seemingly sneaks over to me, jumps on the side of the lift I'm currently working on, which breaks the Oasis codes, by the way. He pulls the headphones out of my ears, which obviously hurt and was quite surprising. He begins to talk, and things go like this. Jesse: First off, what the F are you doing? Second, what the F are you wearing? And thirdly, who the F told you to do this? I was shocked. I told him it was my first day back with the company. I hadn't gotten my uniform yet, so I'd come in simple clothes. I explained that I wasn't told what tools I would need, so that's why I was unprepared. He proceeds to tell me to get down off the lift. I do. At the same time, the GC, general contractor, for the whole job walks in. Nice guy. As I'm getting my butt chewed out for being unprepared, he sees GC and gestures him to come over. He does. As he arrives, the SRS starts to insult me in front of him, saying how unprofessional I looked and how stupid I must have been for coming in like this. At this point, the GC looks quite uncomfortable. The GC makes an excuse to leave the conversation, but not before Jesse gets off one more thing. Anyway, I'll fix this issue right now. HR turns to me and says, Jesse, get the F off my job site and come back when you're an actual worker. So I did. I called up my boss and he then chewed SRS out. I rolled back up to the job a few minutes later, happy to see Hector smiling to see me back. I was left alone for most of the day, but as the week progressed, things would get worse and worse. At one point, he came in furious, not particularly at me, just because he's an absolute F-face with zero patience. Anyway, he comes in with a large tool bag and lots of random things. Then he stops, looks at me. He then throws the bag on the floor, spilling everything all over the floor I just swept. Turns back to me and says, "Clean it up." I was dumbfounded. Standing there with my jaw open, he walks away with not a single F given. I turn to Hector and he's just looking at me shocked as well. That was the last straw for me. I'm a good worker and I do my job well. I work overtime constantly and do not need this kind of treatment, so I decided to make myself feel better about my job situation by screwing with Jesse as much as possible. So for the next week, I would take small tools or parts he was using while walking away and throw them into the work trailer. As this kept happening, and since he had no idea where his tools were going, he was buying new screwdrivers, it seemed like, every day. On top of that, he began to steal spools of wire off the job and put into his truck to resell. I took pictures of him doing so and saved them for later. Also got a few videos of him nearly attacking other companies' workers for being too loud with the Mexican music. Effing jerk. So Friday finally rolls around and it's main feed day. Now, if you don't know about how underground electric works, you might not fully grasp how difficult it is to pull by yourself. It's very hard. The wires arrive 6 hours late. We start pulling at 2. We were supposed to be off at 2 today with full 8-hour pay. We worked late that day. As everything gets put on rollers and the feeds get led, I see Jesse standing by the pulley doing nothing but waiting for me to get everything ready. I don't say anything and just do it. Now he has an electric pulley powered by a small remote. Now me on the other end is pushing in all this 600 wire. The spools are bigger than me and over 1,500 pounds each. After over 3 hours of me nearly killing myself with no brakes because he wouldn't take his damn hand off the button, eventually he walks over to me to complain about how slow I was at feeding it to him. I told him if he would have helped me, it could have went faster. He no likey. Jesse: "Are you seriously suggesting that I help you with your job? What are you good for if you can't even do the one job I give you? It's not hard. Just feed the effing wire, you dumb F." I was furious. I took a deep breath and simply took it on the chin. Sorta, kinda. Not really. As he was going back over to his truck, he was walking by the wire spools when he slipped on some wet cardboard I'd been using to put my knees on, causing him to slip and fall into the spool and hit the large bolts attached to the side. I could visibly see that his shoulder was out of place. Ouch! I felt no pity. Seeing him wriggle on the floor in pain for a few seconds before helping him back up was very satisfying. Got him in his truck and he left. Probably to the doctor's, I'm guessing. After the week was over, I drove over to the management office to speak with my boss. I told him about how Jesse had been treating me and the other employees, others, even the GC, constantly giving everyone crap about anything he could. He was not happy and told me he would look into the matter. A few days later, I found out he was trying to sue the company for his arm getting hurt on the job, saying he was hurt by all the wire I pulled in, like I had some impact on his lack of balance. My boss came back at him with the evidence of him stealing from the company and nearly costing him jobs. He dropped the idea of suing and was fired the next day. I got a raise. And our last story. Tell me to mind my business? Okay, I'll let you get fined for minding my own business. A few years ago, while I was a student, I would work part-time at a local supermarket. Let's call it Salisbury's. Typically, I would be working on the checkouts. However, when things were quiet, often during closing shifts, I'd have other duties like restocking shelves or collecting up the shopping carts. This particular MC occurred while I was out in the car park collecting carts. Around 9 p.m., the store isn't particularly busy. However, the car park is around 30% full. Plenty of spaces, even ones right next to the entrance to the building. Despite this, a youngish guy in a brand new white BMW decided to park in a disabled bay despite having no obvious disability or a blue badge, a permit which lets you park in disabled bays. The guy gets out of his car and heads into the store. Me. You know you parked in a disabled bay, right? Him. Mind your own business. You're just jealous because you can't afford a car like mine on a supermarket worker's salary. At this point, I remembered a key piece of information, so I didn't reply and left him to walk into the building. About 10 minutes later, a police car pulls into the car park. Around the time of this MC, there were a few boy racers going around town and driving dangerously late at night, especially in car parks. So the police were patrolling each car park in town on a few nights of the week to scare off the delinquents. Anyway, as I'm pushing carts nearby, the police officer asked me how long this car has been parked there. I told him, and he said he'd wait for the owner. About 5 minutes later, I'm called back inside to go back onto my checkout. There's a huge set of glass windows through which we can see the car park from the checkouts, so I glance out there to see the guy from earlier being fined by the police officer. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.